Hey there, Angie. We're back here for day 2. I hope that you had a good sleep yesterday. And just a reminder, if any practices you wake up the next day and it just feels like kind of not as good, and maybe something that you did the previous day exacerbated your back issue, remember that pose that you did the day before, you can leave that out or step back and do the pose from the week before that didn't bother your back. So be discerning in not continuing to do things if they cause any kind of discomfort or increase in your symptoms. You're going to back off. Nothing to be gained from pushing through. So today is core day. So we call this section Strong to the Core. You can check the anatomy lesson in the extras below if you really want to know a lot more about anatomy and the role of the core. We're going to talk about it more and more as we go through. But basically, this is the transverse abdominis muscles, a fancy word for your low belly muscles that sort of wrap around the low back and support the low back, kind of like a weight belt. So you know the lifters and weightlifting, and they lift the heavy weights, and they wear those supporting wraparound weight belts. This is sort of what this band of muscles does in the low belly. So when you strengthen your core, it also helps to hold you up on your frame so that you're not compressing in the vertebra. So the core is super, super important as a key tool for you to learn. And we want to talk about stability and stabilizing the back before we start talking about stretching it and mobilizing it. All right, so this is a really, really easy one. This is the most gentle core. Actually, you know what? Let's start seated. And I just want you to get a feeling of what that feels like when it's engaged, what it feels like when you kind of tense it up. Just sitting any way that's comfortable, cross-legged. You could even stretch your legs out in front. Sitting up on a blanket or a bolster if you want to, just to give you a little bit of a lift. So I've got one here that I'll use, and I'm going to double it up. Now, depending on how you feel when you're sitting, if it doesn't feel good to sit, don't spend any time sitting. Again, avoid the things that exacerbate it. The higher that you sit, say if you have a couple blanket folds or a bigger pillow, or I'll have later a bolster, the higher that you sit, the more support your low back will have and the more comfort you'll have actually sitting, rather than feeling like you're leaning back and almost falling over, which isn't very comfortable. Okay, so hands on the knees. Actually, let's lift the hands up off of the knees. And I want you to try to press your knees down and notice what happens to your low belly. So press your knees down. Notice what happens to the low belly. Do you feel it tensing up? That's your core. Now relax everything. Belly can go soft. And then again, press your knees down. Notice what happens to the low belly. It kind of draws in and up. Yeah, that's the engagement of the transverse abdominis. Those are the muscles that you want to use when you're shoveling snow or lifting suitcases off the carousel. So again, relax. Put your hand to the belly this time. And then again, press the knees down and feel, it's more internal, right? You don't really feel a lot of movement on the outside. It's more you can feel the muscles squeeze in the low belly. And also the base of the body draws in and up. We call that mula bandh or root lock. That you don't need to know about right now. So anyways, keep in mind that low belly drawing in feeling, and then come to laying down on your back. Come back to constructive rest where we were yesterday, with the feet flat on the floor. Bring your hands to your low belly. You can watch this first before you try it so you can see the movement of the pelvis. So what we're going to do here is as we exhale, as we breathe out, we're going to press the feet down a little bit, squeeze the belly in the way that we did when we were sitting, and press the small of the back down. And you'll notice the pelvis tilts. That's as you exhale. And then as you inhale, all you do is relax and go back to the starting position so the pelvis tilts back again or forward. So then again, as you exhale, you squeeze the belly in, press the small of the back down like you're trying to close the space between your back and the ground. And then as you inhale, relax and let the pelvis rock back to the starting position. So we can do this a few times with breath here. And what we're doing is we're firming up the core in a really gentle way with the low back supported. And you just can be breathing in and out through your nose in any way that's comfortable for you. So you're exhaling as you're pressing the small of the back down. inhaling to relax. So you can do this 5 to 10 times with breath. Exhaling, squeezing the belly in and up, pressing the small of the back down, pelvis tilts back, inhale to relax. You're just doing that at your own pace. So just go ahead and continue that. Do 5 to 10 rounds. And then when you're done, just pause and take a moment to see how everything feels. Take a few breaths. So this is the number one most gentle activation of the core to start to gently build core strength. If you are in a more acute phase of back pain, this is one that most people can perform quite safely. So this is your go-to if any of the later core exercises start to cause you a little bit of extra discomfort in the low back. But dial it back, come back to a gentler core exercise. You can always come back to this first one, which will be really, really safe, supportive with the back resting on the ground. Okay, so that's it for that. We call that belly press down. So it's day 2, very gentle core. We want to slowly build up core strength so that we can support the low back there. All right. Have a beautiful day and thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great after class glow.